You're listening to the 95 podcast from the team at 95 Network, where we host conversations specifically designed to support leaders in small and mid-sized churches.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the 95 podcast. My name is Joseph Bennett, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Dale Sellers. How are we doing today, Dale?
We're doing wonderful. As you know, at this current moment that we are recording this podcast, I just fired up my brand new smoker grill, and I have racks of ribs on there that'll be smoking for the next few hours. And so I actually smell like smoke because it got all over my shirt. But I'm very happy. I just got a brand new smoker, and I love to smoke meat. So it's a great day, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, we have a good guest.
Yes. The whole time we're on this podcast, our mouths are going to be watering, and this may be a short podcast because Dale's ready to go eat.
I'll bring the ribs or something.
Yeah, we're joined by an awesome guest today, Jason Hamrock from Missional Marketing. So, Jason, welcome to the 95 podcast. We're glad to have you on here.
Thanks, Joseph. It's a pleasure to be here. And Dale, you got me. I'm going watering my mouth here thinking about smoked ribs with barbecue. Oh yeah,
I'll make sure I send you a picture at the end of the day.
Yeah. South Carolina style. That's
they'll be on the grill there for about 4 hours. So just do this. God's cooking them for me right now.
Oh, I love it.
Joseph, I'm so glad to have him with us. Jason has been really, I've been doing this, we just celebrated my 8th year as executive director, and he's been a really good point of reference to talk to. Really, the entire time I've been doing this, we've had several podcasts, and then he connected me with another fellow named Bart Blair, and it's just awesome, and I just greatly respect him. So you're gonna really enjoy meeting him today. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I'm excited about our conversation. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about you, your story, and what you're up to these days.
Well, I love the local church, and I grew up in Iowa. Okay, my parents always took us to church, but I didn't really fall in love with church until I got married and moved to Arizona and started attending Central Christian Church. And my wife and I, our faith really got a lot deeper together. And we actually celebrate 30 years this July 27th. So she's kept me around a long time, and I love my wife. But I tell you, I found myself working at the church. I didn't plan on doing this, but God's got a sense of humor, and we all have a story about that. But I was called, and I have a background in communications. And so I found myself serving as the comm director at Central Christian Church here in Arizona, where we grew a lot, multi-campus, thousands of people, a big mega church. And that's where I just love what the local church was all about. And I didn't really quite understand it. I just thought church is church, you just go, and no, there's so much more to it. Mm-hmm. And I spent almost 11 years in that role. And I tell you, when I stepped away, which was a good move, I went to the marketplace and started my own business and all that kind of stuff. I found myself just missing it.
Wow.
I don't think God was calling me to go back and serve at a local church, but he said, I have a purpose for you, and I want you to serve my church. Mm. And it's all relationships. We all know one another, and I became good friends with the leaders at Missional Marketing, and they asked if I'd come on board and help lead the company in a direction that serves the local church. And I couldn't say no to that. Mm-hmm. So after a bunch of prayer and talking with my bride, and we made the decision to come on board. That was over 10 and a half years ago now. And it has been the best move I've ever made, because now I'm in my sweet spot. I get to learn from all the churches that we work with, and I get to share that knowledge with other churches, because we're on a mission to reach the one. Mm-hmm. And man, I get goosebumps talking about it, because I love what I get to do. It's not a job, man. Well, it's a blast.
I think this will be our 352nd podcast that we're doing, that we're actually releasing, and I would say that you're one of the 5 most passionate people about the local church we've ever interviewed, which is kind of sad. in a sense. And I'm not putting you down, but it's just, the first time I met you, see, I have to tell you, I was coming from the small church perspective. I was still kind of coming out of this thing of feeling kind of less than because, I hadn't built a mega church and all this stuff. And then I interviewing you work with all churches and you go to a large
Right.
church and the whole deal. And all you talked about was just your love for the church that first day. And I just go, man, this guy is the real deal because you can't fake having a love for the church. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. I've been in ministry 45 years. And I can assure you, I'm not in it for the money. I'm
No,
not in it for the prestige.
no.
I'm not in it because it's a lot of warm fuzzies because it's not. But I love the local church. I love Jesus, and there's no plan B. And so when I have a chance to meet someone like you that has this passion, but also, and I think I said this on another podcast recently, and you're also really smart. So to
Uh,
find people who are really smart and love Jesus, yay!
yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about the smart part, but I have a lot of experience. Let's put it that way. I've worked with and I've talked to. I counted up one time. It's north of 2,000 churches that I've
Yep.
got to work with and talk to and
Incredible.
just help. And man, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter if you're a church of 25
Hmm.
or 2,500 or 25,000.
Yep.
We're all commissioned by our Lord and Savior to say, go and love God, love people, and make disciples.
Yep.
Pretty simple. And so, man, I'll share with anybody who wants to learn how to use digital tools, because that's what we do at Missional Marketing is we've got a plan for digital tools to reach people. And
Hmm.
it doesn't take money. It takes
Effort.
your effort and your focus and your strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of these platforms are free, but
Yep.
you've got to be intentional about it. And so,
Mm.
yeah.
So Joseph, the first time I ever talked to him, he did what he just did there. It's like, it's all free and you can do it. Just come on, folks. He's a cheerleader. But so take a moment for those who are new to missional marketing and kind of give us an overview of what you do.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, we're really passionate about expanding the kingdom. We want to reach the one over the 99. 99 are already in, right?
Yep.
There are people, but we want to go after the one. So our company is really focused on helping churches build that strategy. And we kind of talk about it from the standpoint of think of a funnel.
Okay.
And that you're at the top of the funnel and you're reaching people in your community who are unchurched or dechurched all the way, and you want to reach them all the way to the point where they're sitting in a seat, they can hear the gospel, say yes to that call, and then live out their life as a fully devoted follower of Jesus, which is, every day. Luke 9:23, we're carrying our cross. We
Mhm.
never stop doing that. And so we feel like our role is in that top level of going, how do we help churches understand how to use these digital tools to reach and engage people? So that comes with a lot of website development. We build a lot of church websites, or we give advice on how to build a really great church website that reaches the one. It's just not a brochure for your people,
Mhm.
right? We talk about that strategy, and it's either we'll build them for churches or we'll point them in the direction. Hey, there's a group right there. Go work with those guys. They're really, really good. It doesn't matter who builds it. We want you to build a purposeful website.
That's good.
We also do a lot of optimization, and man, with AI, which we're going to get into a little bit here today,
Hmm.
things are changing in the Google world,
Hmm.
right? It's not just all about search engine optimization, which you maybe have heard that before, that term SEO, still important, but now GEO is becoming almost more important. Generative engine optimization, optimizing for these large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Grok, because people's habits are changing. So we do a lot of that. And then we do a lot of digital advertising that churches, they want to run a ad campaign in Facebook or on Google. We step in and help them as they need help. And so underneath all of that, those three things, websites or optimization or ads, we do a lot of coaching. We just have a heart for sharing and teaching, and I just can't help talk about it. And some churches will hire us for a season. That's great. Others, they're just looking for some great pointers and tips, and we want to give it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason, I love the heart behind that. And it sounds like you guys kind of your main focus is that you want to use whatever digital platform that you suggested, a website, social media, anything along those lines
Yeah.
to focus on the outsider first and
Yeah.
then the insider. Are you seeing a lot of churches with any kind of digital media marketing they might have talking more insider focused than outsider focused? And what might be the discrepancy there, or how might they improve that? What are you seeing?
That's a great question. Yeah, I'm just the churches we work with have made a decision. We really want to be, mindful and be aggressive at going after people who are not yet a part of our church, specifically younger men.
Okay.
Younger men are coming back to church. Younger men are flocking to church more than younger women
When you say younger men, what kind of age range?
in the 20s and 30s.
Okay.
Okay. And we know this. I mean, Bible sales are up. Well, that's not a coincidence.
Hmm.
What, 22% or something like that over last year? That's not a coincidence. Young men are buying Bibles. YouTube version apps YouVersion app is record breaking.
Yep.
More young men are flocking and they use YouTube. They go to YouTube. That's where I have two boys in their 20s. They live in YouTube.
Wow.
And so whenever I talk to churches, I'm like, you got to have a really good strategy of going after young men in YouTube. And it doesn't require advertisement, it just requires you creating content that's going to be posted out there for them to see. So I do see a lot of churches that we work with, they're intentional about going after and being aggressive at reaching people with digital advertising. But you know what's crazy? The thing that Bart, my co-host in our podcast, we're
Hmm.
creeping on 200 episodes here. What we talk a lot about is the changing of social media. It's really adjust a lot.
Major.
A couple months ago, when Mark Zuckerberg was in front of Congress,
Hmm.
in front of Congress, he was asked a question. He had to answer it truthfully, and the question was, "How often do you see your friends' content in your newsfeed?" And his answer, 7% of the time.
Wow.
7%. What that means is you're sitting there scrolling through your newsfeed and Facebook. What are you seeing?
Junk.
You're seeing advertisements, or you're seeing content they think you want to see.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a great strategy for us as the church, because now our content we put on social media can't be insider focused. It needs to be outsider focused. So as you're putting out that graphic or you're putting out that video, be mindful that the majority of the people who are going to see that don't even follow your church. They maybe don't even go to church, probably not your church.
Hmm.
So, and do make it an invitation kind of a thing. This landscape has really, really changed a lot. And
Jason, what can we do if we know? Okay, because when I first met you, we were just trying to get churches to engage and use the stuff, but they are
yeah,
now by and large. But again, we tend to run behind the curve in the
yeah.
church. So we do decide, okay, we want to do this. We hear that everybody's keep telling us that young people, especially young men, are coming back to church. What can we use to help us know if what we're doing is effective before we do it? And the reason I ask that is, obviously we can look afterwards and go, well, that didn't work. But to be more strategic, what could we do so that we make sure that when we are rolling out things, we are putting something out there that it actually can reach our target group?
Yeah. Oh, such a great question. So there's just certain things that you always want to get in the habit of doing.
Okay.
And I don't think it's causing, this is for you pastors, it doesn't cause you to have to think of a whole new strategy.
Hmm.
What I'll tell pastors is, hey, on Sunday you preached, right? And you spent, 10, 15, 20 hours prepping for that sermon and you delivered it. That is really, really great content to be sharing on your website. So I always talk about a game plan of using content, not just the video that goes on your website, but the content,
Okay.
and using large language models to help you organize that content that is organized in a way that speaks to both Google and these large language models. So I talk about content. The other thing I tell pastors to do is, hey, you know what? On Monday morning, as you're sitting at your desk, pull out your iPhone or whatever device you have and just go ahead and record another like 5 to 7 minutes, a little bit deeper. Something like, well, hey, Pastor Dale here, and I just talked about how to forgive the unforgiven yesterday on my sermon, and I just want to go a little bit deeper. And I want to speak to you, young man. If you're boom, 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 you just start laying into some wisdom
Hmm.
and biblical advice, go like 5, 7 minutes deeper and it's close up. It's not from a stage.
Yeah.
It's right here. That kind of stuff is phenomenal for
Mm.
both not only social media, but YouTube Shorts. And when you do that and you put that out there, you're going to start getting more of a following
Mm.
because you want to be consistent with it. You don't want to just, I'll do that once every couple of months. It doesn't work that way. You want to be consistent with putting this content on your website regularly every week. And you're wanting to also put stuff on YouTube. It doesn't have to be super polished.
Hmm.
As long as the audio is good, nobody cares if it's a shaky video.
That's exactly right.
Right? They don't care. But I'll tell you, it's just taking this concept of I'm speaking to my 99, but I want to be intentional about going after the one. And we don't know what God's going to do. That's his job. Our job is to scatter the digital seeds. His job is to go ahead and plant those and get those growing. And the right person's going to hear that message. And so that's just two things that I recommend. That's easy for you to do. It's all around your sermon. You don't have to really go much deeper or create other kinds of content. Just
And this
do
is
what
what
the Lord's given you.
this is one. This is convenient. We did a ministry years ago we called digital discipleship coaching, where one of our teammates, Jesse, literally would teach pastors how to just take the message they preached and break it into sound bites and then use it for social. And then what
Yeah.
you just said is like, it's almost the afterthought. In fact, if I was doing it, I might even call my little thing the afterthought, because it's like anytime you preach a great message, when it's done, you're like, oh man, boy, if I could have gone there, or oh, this hit me here, or whatever. Those things connect, don't they?
They do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when you really personalize it and you make it about I'm teaching, I'm talking with you, not at you or not
Yeah.
down to you. It's like, hey, brother, I deal with the same problems. Yeah, you're going into, and we're all humans here, right? That's exactly what younger men specifically want to hear.
Mm.
They are attracted to that. So that's just, and this isn't a lot of time. It's just an exercise. If you do this consistently,
Mhm.
that will bear fruit. And that's just one of a bunch of different things you can be doing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man, I love that, Jason. And I love what you're saying because it sounds so conversational. And I think that is what you're seeing,
Yeah.
that you were talking a lot about the younger generation, is that they're desiring more of that, right? Like I love what you said about it doesn't have to be so polished. And kind of what I'm seeing in a lot of the younger generation is, we used to do a lot of stuff with social media. We put tons of filters on. It was the highlight reel. And,
Yeah.
and you're kind of saying what you're seeing is what I'm hearing is maybe we're even going away from some of that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you think about, these younger people, a lot of us, we live on TikTok
Mhm.
and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And the videos you see out there are just real. It's just real life. Yet we have the best advice and the biblical truth that we can offer people that they're searching for it. I mean, it isn't a coincidence that when I say young men are coming to church, when I talk to the churches I get to work with, and I'll ask, hey, your young adult ministry, talk to me about that. They're going, oh yeah. 2 years ago, it was 85% girls and 15 or 10% boys. That's reversed.
It's amazing.
Isn't that nuts?
It's amazing.
So I'm going, okay, Lord's got an open window right now. Why are we not like leaping through this right now?
It's really
Come
exciting.
on.
Yeah.
It's there for the taking. And I don't know how long that window's going to last, but I'll tell you, when you put stuff on social media right now, it's people who don't follow you who are going to see it. Now, I don't know if they're churched or unchurched, right? But that should be a call for invitation to come, or let me just share some truth with you.
Well,
And
I
I'm not
know.
saying neglect women. I mean, it's
No.
everybody, but
Well, it's been proven if you can reach the man, you can reach the family
That's
easier
right.
than if you reach the mom. And that's not being critical of women.
It's
Obviously,
just reality.
it's just if you can get the husband to come to church, he'll tend to bring the family with him.
Yeah, he will.
Whereas with the wife comes, sometimes he doesn't come.
That's
But
right.
what I'm seeing in this transit, and we're seeing it even with what we're doing, we're making some major changes here that we're going to roll out in a few weeks. But one of the things that we've noticed is there's this huge shift toward needing a mentor are basically, a lot of people are just looking for a dad or a grandpa or a mom or a grandmother.
Right.
And a lot of these young men that are coming to church, they weren't mentored, they weren't discipled. They're just looking for a male role model, or several male role models that will help them, just like the ladies are. Yeah, that kind of feeds into this, doesn't it?
It totally does. And I'm 53, I think. Yeah. I
Let
had to
me
think
check.
about that for a second. And a lot of my peers and people in this generation, we didn't, a lot of them didn't raise their kids in the church.
Hmm.
So these young 20 somethings are going, yeah, I've never been to church. I went to a funeral and a few weddings, but I've
Yeah,
never been
yeah.
to church before.
Mm.
And so I'm always telling churches, be looking at your website from the lens of somebody who never has been to church before and go all the way over to that person who might be an atheist or agnostic.
Mhm.
Does this make sense to them? Is there a culture of invitation? Are you sharing real biblical truth to them, not preaching at them, but talking with them?
I want to give a caveat to what you just said, though. I don't think we can do that. I think we need someone to help us do that.
Hmm.
Churches are just weak. We are not able to criticize or even have a clue when we're looking at things that are inside our focus because we're all there.
Yeah, you know what you should do?
We need you.
Well, I use Claude. Claude is my large
Mhm.
language model of choice. I use it all the time.
Okay.
It knows me, everything. It knows me, right? So I would go to ChatGPT or Claude and put your website on, paste that into a chat and say, "Will you review my website? I'm a church. I'm trying to
Great
reach
idea.
unchurched or dechurched people, and I need some help. Can you crawl each page and tell me what I should do
That
differently?"
is such a great suggestion, dude. You win the award. Great suggestion of the year.
Mm.
Well, it'll be some hard, like my friend Bill Bush, who's a pastor down in Queen Creek. Well, I'm in Arizona here.
Yeah.
He preaches and he has these throat punches. He calls them throat punches. The right there between your index finger and your thumb, and you just like if you hit somebody right, you will knock them. They will
Yep.
not be able to talk or breathe. He goes, I got to give you a throat punch, right? And sometimes, church, we need a throat punch because we're in this little bubble, or we're so far in the weeds we don't realize, man, all we're doing is catering to the 99. Come on, that's not what Jesus told us to do.
Mhm.
Told us to go, love God, love people, and create disciples. It's not hard, but we do need a throat punch every now and then to go, yeah, we probably need to take a hard look at our website. And
Throat punches for Jesus.
Yeah.
throat punches for Jesus. There's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt for sure. Before we go to the next question, let's take a short break and we come back. Joseph's going to hit you up on the other side of the break. We're back here with Jason. Joseph, go ahead.
Yeah, man, Jason, before the break, you're talking about, hey, every once in a while, we just need a throat punch, so to speak,
Right.
especially when it comes to our digital marketing and our outreach online. So, why do you think that's so hard for some of us to even want that feedback or listen to that feedback at times? And I love that you said we could go to Claude. Are there any other options
Hmm.
that we could go to that might could give us that same feedback?
We could hire Missional Marketing.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I love giving that. If you want to
Tell
talk
us
to a real
about it.
human,
Yeah.
just go to our website, missionalmarketing.com, and schedule a free complimentary call. Love to do that with anybody who wants to have that conversation. But to answer your first question, I think it's we always tend to gravitate to the people who are talking to us, our 99. I can't find this. Why is that not on there? Blah, 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 right? We hear that. We never hear an unchurched person going, I went to your website and I couldn't find one. They never do that. People, the one.
Mm-mm.
So we will tend to gravitate to our congregation and what their needs are. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's really important. Obviously, I'm not saying just cut them off.
Yeah.
Pretty important. But if you won't gravitate towards, I want to be focused on unchurched people. The churches that do that are the ones that are growing. And I'm not saying to become mega churches. That's not the point. But you see salvations and baptisms. You see new people coming through the church.
Yeah.
They're focused on reaching them. And I just don't apologize for saying your website's really bad. It's such internal language, like your mission statement, which is 2 paragraphs. It's all inwardly focused. I don't relate to that. I don't go to your church. I don't care about your mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
I care about what you're going to have to offer me and my family. We're in trouble here, and we're kind of looking for, maybe God likes us. I don't know. I haven't really been to church before. How can you help me? That's what I want to communicate towards.
Yep. Oh,
right?
you're
So
so on point, man. Good gracious. So, because we're in the second half, so I don't want to allow enough time to do two things. One, I want to talk a bit about AI, and then you had just released a new book, so I want to make sure
yeah,
we don't miss a chance to learn a little bit about that. So, when you look at AI, and we've done multiple podcasts about AI, and we will
yeah.
continue to do so as of today, because it changes daily. What do you look at with when it comes to using AI in the church? Do you see to be the most positive, beneficial things that pastors can get out of using AI right now?
Yeah, well, I won't get into the different tools because those things are popping up all the time about
Oh
how
yeah.
you
Mm,
can use a different tool to help you with sermon prep or whatever. What I'm going to talk about is the habits of the people you're trying to reach.
okay.
Mm.
Okay, it's changing. Google, in Google, like Google's changing so much. Google's always had what's called a zero-click result. They've always kind of what that means is somebody goes to Google, you go to Google and you search something, you don't find what you're looking for. Either you leave Google or you go to page two. If you go to page two, well, that page one got a zero-click impression.
Gotcha.
Okay. Google's always had like a upper 40s, lower 50s percentile of all their search traffic ended with no click, right? That has skyrocketed to about 68, 69% over the last year or so.
Wow.
Why? It's because of the AI overview. Now,
Yes.
if you go in Google and you look for something, you get that AI overview, and then you can go to AI mode, and then boom, you're in a conversation with, right? Everybody should know what I'm talking about. Because of that, your website is triply more important now because that's how these large language models like Google and others like ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or Gemini, they're crawling content,
Okay.
right? And so because I can learn all about you with ever not even ever having to go to your website, the question is it accurate?
Okay.
Mm.
As my co-author and my podcast buddy Bart always says, the A in AI does not stand for accuracy.
No, no, it
Mm.
doesn't.
That's
No, it
good.
doesn't.
And so I always tell churches, hey, make sure you're going around and you're going to all the different large language models and you're asking, tell me about the best churches in my city and see if you pop up. And if you
Mm.
do pop up, great. Tell me more about First Baptist Church and see if it's accurate. And I'll tell you, it is really important that we focus on content. Content is king, not the king. We know who he is. But
Hmm.
when it comes to the internet, content is incredibly important. Here's the difference between Google and then AI. Okay. Google, and you guys will probably recognize this, but Google has these little bots. They
Yep.
crawl and they index your website. They think of it taking a picture of every page of your website, and then they take that image and they take it back to Google headquarters. It's indexed. So when somebody goes to Google and searches something, why does it pull up so fast? It's that content's been indexed in Google servers.
Hmm.
And they only crawl your website every now and then. A newspaper, a TV station, a radio station that puts content on like every hour of the day,
Hmm.
they have a high rank authority, and those bots crawl those websites all the time. Our church websites have low rank authority because we never put content on there. Well,
Hmm.
Mm.
duh, that just makes sense to me. And so I've been preaching for the last decade. Content matters for Google. Now, you talk about AI. When I say AI, I'm talking about large language models. So again, ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or Gemini, right? Those large language models, they crawl your website immediately. They're
Okay.
crawling. So when you're putting a prompt in there, it's like doing a little thing. It's crawling the internet to come up with that answer. So large language model is looking for fresh, relevant, and local trap or content. Fresh, relevant, and local. Fresh,
Hmm.
relevant, local. So it is really, really, really important that you're putting content on your website that helps answer the question people are asking.
Hmm.
So what I tell pastors all the time is you preached, great. Go to YouTube because you probably added that video on YouTube. You should be because YouTube's the second largest search engine.
Yep.
And you can get the full transcript from YouTube. You take that full transcript, you copy and you paste it into ChatGPT, and you give it a prompt. Please rewrite this. Don't change my meaning. Don't change any biblical references. I'm not asking you to add or take the words, but I'm wanting you to kind of reorganize this in a way that speaks to unchurched or dechurched people that will really communicate to large language models. And what's going to do, it's going to spit out a bunch of question, answer,
Hmm.
question, answer. How do I forgive the unforgiving? And you're going to have an answer that's about 3 paragraphs. What do I do next? It's going to do that for you. So you don't have to sit there and do it.
And
You take that
it's still
content,
your voice. It's still in your voice.
oh, it's still your voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I use Notion to do all my podcasts, and so
Yeah.
literally, I do exactly what you said. I wait till I get it uploaded on YouTube, take the transcript, and I've given it the parameters that I want it to do.
Yep.
And look, hey, I'm 64. If I can do this, Joseph can do it.
And
Yeah.
anybody can do it. And you go ahead and proofread it. Make sure it's accurate. You're going to
I
find
do that too.
Yeah.
they actually said it better than I could have said it.
Nah,
That's
you're pushing it.
that's
Look.
what you that's what you want to put out there on your website because you want fresh. That's really, really fresh. You want relevant. So maybe be preaching on topics that people are asking and make it local, right? I'm right here. I'm in Gilbert, Arizona. So So when people around me are looking for advice or they have a prompt in there, how do I fix my marriage? They're
Mhm.
going to their best friend, ChatGPT. It's kind of scary to think about that, but now, I mean, you put your trust in that a little bit. Well, if
They
that's the
do.
case, and we can't, cause people to change their habits, we better be speaking to it and making sure that we're trying to flood large language models with biblical truth of what we talk about, what we preach. Yeah. One more. I always used to tell churches, don't worry about X because X is Twitter. Like
Yeah.
Twitter's just kind of like for a pastor to have a following, that's fine. But for a church, no big deal. Now I've changed my tune. Grok is now the third largest large language model people use. Grok.
Mm.
Who owns Grok and who owns X?
Elon.
So when Grok is going to give you an answer to your prompt, it looks at X first.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So you probably want to have a strategy of adding that same content that you're adding to social media or you're adding to your website, add some of that to X.
Yeah, we do that too.
Not to create followers, but to fill Grok. That's what you want to do.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's the first part. You want to talk about the book?
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
let's
tell
make sure, Joseph, do you have any other question for that before we move on?
Well, I just a follow up was so basically what you're saying is keep in mind that these bots, these AI robots, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
platforms are feeding off of one another. So, like you said, filling the content in the different platforms is super important, right, Jason?
Absolutely. Well, and you start with your website because if you start adding content to your website, your rank authority is going to go up.
Okay.
But you can't just take off weeks. You have to do it consistently.
And that's the problem with churches, specifically pastors that are listening now. They're already so overwhelmed. And one of the things we've been suggesting for years is that you literally block in your schedule a half a day a week just to focus on social and these type things, so you
Oh,
get it out there consistently.
I mean, you can have it done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but these guys
If
won't
you
do that.
use Grok, so and if you want to reach out to me, I'll give you my sermon to web page playbook.
Is there a link for that?
No, but I can give you one.
Okay, if we'll get a link, we'll put that in the show notes.
It's a Google Doc, and I will give you the prompt, and in that prompt, it's doing everything I just shared about taking your sermon and creating great content for your website. Also, it will help create any kind of social media clips, small group curriculum, daily devotional. You can have all that done in minutes. And in fact, if you don't want to do it, have a volunteer do it. I mean, this isn't hard stuff. And then you just got to go put it out there, post it out there. And then there's tools that you can post stuff on social media. You can just go ahead and do it on Monday. It'll drop Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Mm.
And stuff it's not, there's no more excuses, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't want to put any strategy or effort into it. Well, then that's on you, but you've got great content. The Spirit spoke through you on Sunday. Come on now. That needs to live beyond Sunday. And this is a
Amen.
great way to do that.
Yeah. Man, Jason, I love your passion because it is.
I
It's
told you you
very,
were going to like him.
yeah, it's very clear that it's like, man, we're not just talking about marketing and a lot of times churches can get accused of, oh, well, we're just trying to build this big brand or product or whatever. No, the brand and product that we have is the message of
It's
Jesus,
the
right?
gospel,
It's
man.
the gospel. So
Amen.
you talked a little bit ago about reaching the one ahead of the 99. And then I know you wrote this book called, I believe, Reaching the One,
Reaching the
correct?
one right here.
Hold it
Yeah.
up so we can see it. Okay, for all
Yeah.
our YouTubers, there you
So
go.
so tell us a little bit about that book and kind of the heart behind it, the message behind it.
Well, yeah. So, I've been doing this a long time with Bart, and we've talked to so many churches on our podcast and just on Zoom, thousands of them.
Mhm.
And, we've learned a lot. We're not the sharpest tools in the shed, but we feel like God's used us in this platform to be a voice to speak to specifically pastors about using digital tools. So we don't use the word marketing because sometimes that could be like, ooh, that's like a 4-letter word
It's
in
a
the church
turnoff for a
world.
lot of churches, if we're
It
honest.
is.
Mhm.
So we call it digital outreach. That's exactly what it
Great.
is.
Yep.
We want to share this gospel that we like you said earlier, we're plan A. There ain't a plan B,
Mm-mm.
right? So if
And
you're
so
not
many
going
of
to
these
do it,
platforms are free.
they're free. Yeah, so we wrote a book called Reaching the One because we don't want we want churches they're not going to drift towards this.
Yeah.
They have to be intentional about driving towards this. So this literally, it's a guide to digital outreach and evangelism for the local church. We literally are explaining what you need to do and why you need to do it from just, years of practice of doing this and coaching this and teaching this to churches. So we came up with this book. It's like $15. You can go to Amazon and it's on there right now.
We'll put
And
the link in the show notes as well.
yeah. So it's a very easy book, very easy to read. But we open up talking about Eli, the shepherd boy who was counting his sheep. And he got to 99 and I need to recount. So he's counting again. I got to 99 and he's telling the other shepherds, we're missing one. And they're laughing at him. Oh, 99's fine. One. And come on, percentage-wise, that's pretty good. And Eli's like, I can't let this go. So he goes back out to the pasture to find the one. I wish our church would have that same kind of mentality and that same zeal and effort of going, 99, you're good. You're in the pen. You're safe. I got to go get the one. And that's why we wrote this book.
Well, we've been content over the years, and I've used this phrase a lot, but I believe we're in the residue of the secret and attractional movements, which basically meant for people to come to your church to find the gospel. What you're saying is, which is what Jesus told us, we got to go.
Go.
And these free platforms are a very easy way, not just to go, just to find something to do. It's where people are.
Yeah. We have to storm the gates of hell. And that's where we got to go. And I'll tell you, that's why I get so excited about what God's doing in the lives of young men, because they're open for this truth. They're open to hearing it. They're open. There's got to be more than what social media is telling me I am as a man.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be more to life than this. And it's just so cool. We're in a cool season right now. I don't know what the Lord's up to, something really, really awesome. And so we felt it was important to finally put together our thoughts and put together this book, because we want to help pastors understand this isn't a big ask, but it should be what you should be doing. We're not doing it. Okay, some are. So that's, some are, and everybody else is to some degree. What I'm asking is up that degree, up that amount of time you are spending on digital outreach, because it will move the needle on bringing more people to your church.
Man, that's so good. So I love the fact that you're saying, hey, guys, it doesn't have to cost a whole lot of money.
Mm-mm. There's no
So-
excuse.
So yeah, I mean, other than kind of what you said, we gotta, if we've preached a sermon and we could post a short clip of that, are there any other kind of tips or practical things you would say, hey, these are some real quick, low hanging fruit you could do even this week?
Use that sermon to webpage playbook that we'll put in the show notes, because it kind of explains there's a 5-point process for you to do this.
Okay.
And I'd recommend you do that, Pastor. You do that a few times, a few weeks, and then go train a volunteer, somebody who's passionate. Maybe it could be an admin if you got like another part-time person. Great. We're only talking like 30 minutes at the max. to be able to do all this work. Yet the fruit that it'll generate is unbelievable. Now there's some other great tools out there, Opus Clips or Sermon Shots. You can get a subscription to those guys. Are pretty cheap. That will grab your video and create a sermon clip to put on social media and YouTube and your Google business profile. Everybody forgets about this. Your Google business Jason, what's our Google business profile? Just Google your name of your church. Now, on the right-hand side, you're going to see a profile where there's photos and then there's your information and reviews. That is your Google business profile. And if you think about this, if someone's looking for a church, they don't know who you are. They're looking for a church.
Jason, some of those are so scary.
Oh, I know. It's time to clean them up. Go verify that you actually have ownership of it and add good photos on there.
Yes.
Add those sermon clips on there, right? Ask for some new reviews from your main people, like your best servant leaders you've got, your elder board, whoever it is, right? Get some good, fresh reviews. If you take care of your Google business profile and you add photos and add some videos on there, I'm telling you, that will move the needle. People will go, because our goal is to get them to click on our website. Now, your website maybe needs some love. Probably does. So if that's the case, come talk to me. And I'm not going to sell you on a website. I'm going to sell you on a strategy that you need to implement to help improve your website, because the one is too important not to focus on it.
If I could take a needle and just draw out of you all that passion and push it into all our pastors, I would. But here's and I want you to do that through this podcast with this next question. So there's a lot of talk now. The average age of a pastor in America is about 62. That's what I continue to see. There's been suggestions that 100,000 to 150,000 pastors are going to retire in the next 10 years. And as soon as you say that, it's kind of like what that makes people start looking beyond those 10 years. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So I want you to take a moment and, take a pastor by the hand right now. That's that 62-year-old that, they don't understand all this stuff. It wasn't their generation. But like I said, I've learned a lot myself. Now I rely on my kids to help me. I mean, my kids had to get on to me about reposting things on Instagram that I discovered later were AI or not true. And Daddy, quit posting those things. You need to make sure it's verified. Thank you, honey. But then there's accountability there. That's why I shared that. Sure. But I want you just to take a moment and talk to that pastor who's like, man, I am tired. I'm 62 years old. Our church is in decline. Mm-hmm. I've been told this whole thing about us retiring in 10 years and succession and all that stuff. Help them not to look beyond where they are now and just look 10 years ahead. Help them. What could you tell them today? Where could they just start today just to turn and gain some hope, Jason? That's what I want you to give them.
Well, I'd first say, I love you, brother, because you have stepped up to his call on your life to be a pastor and a leader and a shepherd. I tell you what you have, pastor, that these young guys don't, is the wisdom and experience.
Amen.
You've been through the trenches, and Satan no doubt has tried to take you down because you're the target. But the Lord's got plans, and his plans are always the plans of blessing and fruit. And I tell you, if anything I could say, do not forget that you've got that wisdom and that experience that you can pass on. But you can't just wander in passing it on. You've got to be intentional about going there. So if you're tired and you're wore out, you probably are, but your mind isn't. I'm the same way. I'm in my 50s. I travel all the time. I'm getting ready to jump on a plane right now to go to Seattle. I got to go see some churches up there. I travel all the time. But I get excited whenever I get to talk with the church and share some wisdom and some truth of things that I know that can help them reach more people. Man, I get jazzed up by that. You should be jazzed up by, let me teach a young person what it means to shepherd a church and be looking for God to bring those people to you, right? And be praying about that. And that whole succession thing is so true, where if you don't just decide, I think I'm going to, decide to leave. I've got a pastor who is getting ready to retire, and he's been thinking and praying about this for the last 7 years.
Thank God.
7 years, and it's a big, big church, right? And so it was planned on, and he didn't know who was going to be the person. God brought the man that's going to take over this church,
Yep.
right? So that this pastor can go, hey man, I'm so excited because I'm leaving this in better hands than than I have right now, right? He's going to raise up this guy and hand off so well. That just isn't something you do on accident.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of it starts with content, right? It just, you got the content and the wisdom because, and I say this very seriously when I say that the Lord preached through you. The Lord spoke through, it was your vocal cords. It should have been his message. Think about that. That is gold for me as a comm director. Anybody that's on the other side of that going, that content's so amazing. I can now use that content to witness and share with more and more and more people. Don't let go of that, Pastor, because that stuff is just so impactful. And so when I think about what's the next generation looking for, they're looking for somebody who's going to teach them, who's going to mentor them, who's going to pour into them, right? And you want to hand it off well. You want that legacy. I guarantee you ask your constituents, the older people in your church that have been giving and been faithful for all these years, they're not looking to close the church down. They want to create a legacy. I know this because I get hired by a lot of churches who just ask me that same thing. Hey, Jason, we realized we looked around, we're all kind of getting old and losing our hair. How do we grow younger? And my question is, well, do you have any on your staff younger than 50? No.
Nope.
Start there. How do we do that? I mean, I give you my advice, but there's other people like
Well, I
Dale
think,
smarter than I am.
you're tying into the real issue because I think a lot of guys might, if we're honest, a lot of guys might have given up. They're like, our church is aging out, and young people don't want to come to our church, but they hear you get on and say, yeah, but young people, specifically young men, are flocking back to church, and if they come to our church, they don't stay. Well, it's because we don't have any kind of intentionality about if we can just let them know we're trying. It's an amazing thing what happens to people because they see your heart and the intent. You may not do it well. You may still have to tweak that website. You may not. You may try to do the stuff Jason is saying right now and not come off great when you start. But we're all a work in progress. One of the big things we tell churches is this, when you go to get people to plug into your churches, quit waiting for somebody to leave another church and come to your church.
Yeah.
Start
No.
mining the dirt within your own congregation because gold and diamonds and jewels and gems, they all come with dirt on them.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to dig them out of the dirt, and somebody's got to clean them up, and somebody's got to polish them, and somebody's got to cut them. And again, if we can get out of this mentality of the secret and attractional thing, and just start looking at the one, as someone has told us and wrote in a book, it'll change it all, and it'll make it possible. Don't you see it that way?
Totally see it that way. And there's things, like our church, we do Alpha because Alpha is a ministry for people who are agnostic or atheists. They have questions. That's not the enemy. That's the target. Those people are the target. They don't look like you. They don't talk like you, but Jesus loves them. Why don't we just start there? Just start going, Lord, I need you to give me a vision. I need you to give me a path. Bring somebody who can give us maybe some resources. You think we serve a God who doesn't have enough resources for us to do our ministry? Right? Pray for that. I need more energy. I need an infusion of your spirit to give me direction and excitement. And maybe this is it. Maybe this is what you needed to hear.
Yeah.
But
If
man,
you
this
ask
is
him, he'll do
the
it.
day. Like, let's do something about it, right? I mean, you just don't run on high octane every single day. It doesn't work that way, right? There's peaks and valleys. We understand this. But be intentional about a plan.
I wrote a book
strategy.
about that actually because I used to think you could.
Yeah, well,
It's
no,
called
you'll
stall.
burn out.
Yes.
You will burn out. I know that for a fact. But I tell you, if you don't have, you will never wander into the promised land.
Yeah.
God had to direct them into the promise. He had to make a way, and he will make a way. He always does. So why would we not think he's not going to do it for our little tiny church?
Yeah. Jason, what you said, man, is so good. And Dale, even your perspective, guys, as you were talking, I was sitting and thinking, I had a phone call today with a pastor who's at a smaller church. He is 62, but he's a pastor he's very driven too, but I mean, just because of the age and day he grew up in, he doesn't know a lot about digital media, social media, marketing, all of that. But he's calling me and asking. It
Good.
just, what's
Yeah.
my perspective? And I'm just thinking about our listeners, Pastor, you may be out there going, well, man, there's nobody that wants to help me. And I can't understand. There are younger people, maybe not even in your church, that you might could connect with even at a coffee shop, that might work at the coffee shop and say, hey, I've been trying to figure this thing out for my church. You guys have an awesome social media. Can you just tell me a little bit about how you do that? And it might open a whole new world of conversation.
Oh, totally. And I also think it's okay to educate yourself. And the best place to, I'm just telling you, the best place to go is Claude,
Okay.
right? Or chat and just ask a question. It is not the Antichrist. People say, oh, I'm so against AI. Listen, the Lord gave us AI.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This wasn't a, wow, my creation's so creative. I did not see that one coming. That didn't come across the Lord's mind. He gave us, and I always say this in front of our road shows. I go, I will do anything short of sin to reach one more person. And if it's AI, I'm going to use AI, I'm going to use it.
Mhm.
Right?
Hey,
We can choose it to use it for good or evil, your choice. If you go, I'm not going to use it all, well, then you're letting evil win.
mm.
Mm.
So
AI doesn't create, it just regurgitates what it's learned. It's smart about it, but we
it's
still serve the creator.
that's absolutely. Yeah. So educate yourself using Chat GPT or Claude and just go, how does YouTube really work? Or I have a goal to reach younger people in YouTube with my church. What would you recommend?
Mm.
Oh, thank you. Can you, and it'll say, would you like a step by step? That'd be great. Give
Mhm.
me a step by step process I can follow. Can I do it like in 10 minutes? Yeah, let me do it. I mean, you have to have a conversation with it. It'll help you. It is gold when it comes to I want to educate you and help you understand what you don't know. So good.
And your goal to us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man, for your love and passion for the church and for the Lord and Jason Joseph. Every time I've had him on, it's been this. We did a podcast one time on about virtual church. So you ought to go back
Oh
and listen.
yeah.
Got to go back and listen to that one. It's like,
Mm.
and that was way in the weeds. But man,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time. I know you got to fly out and do what
Yeah.
you do, but we just always appreciate when you have time to be part of what we're doing. And
Oh,
we've got some changes coming pretty soon here at 95 Network that we'll talk to you about and maybe even get you to be part of that as well.
I'd love to come back on the show, guys. Thanks for allowing me to share. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the 95 Podcast. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next week. In the meantime, visit our website at 95network.org. The website is loaded with great resources created for small and mid-sized church leaders. Until next time, have a great week.